Good morning, Wagwan, my people, Wagwan. Welcome again to YNA Network, and this is where we read. We believe in reading because reading is fundamental. Develop your vocabulary, buddy. Develop the vocabulary. So this article is coming from CoinDesk, and the author is Will Caddy. So Bank of America says CBDCs are the future of money and payments. Central bank digital currency have the potential to revolutionize global financial systems, a report from the bank. And we all know that Bank of America is on the Ripple under XRP. We all know that, right? So digital currencies such as central bank digital currency, CBDCs, and stablecoins are the natural evolution of money and payments, Bank of America said in the research report on Tuesday. Quote, CBDCs do not change the definition of money, but will likely change how and when value is transferred over the next 15 years. Analysts led by Akash Shash wrote, adding that central bank digital currencies have the potential to revolutionize global financial systems and may be the most significant technological advancement in the history of money. So CBDC typically use blockchain technology to increase efficiency and lower costs. A stablecoin is a type of cryptocurrency whose value is pegged to another asset such as the US dollar or gold. The benefits and risk of CBDCs depend on their design and issuance, but Bank of America expects central banks in developed economies to focus on payments efficiency and those on developing countries to focus on financial inclusion. Still, aren't without their risk. They may drive competition with bank deposits and could lead to a loss of monetary sovereignty and iniquity and sorry and iniquity and inequality among countries globally, the note said. So CBDC issuance may not happen for over a decade in some countries, but central banks are expected to adopt technological advances or risk irrelevance over the longer term. So yes, thank you, Will Canny, for this article here, and just another update, guys, to just show you that to show you where we're going. I have a few more articles here that I wanted to dive into, um, in regards to what we're talking about here. Let's open one of them up. Yeah, man. So this is the future. This is the future. I've been talking about this for a while now. Um, what are we looking at here? Samsung investment arm keen on offering spot digital currency ETFs to Hong Kong investors. So we let's go back down to memory lane when all this crypto and blockchain and all this was was alienated and looked down upon. This is always the process when it comes to new innovations. As long as there's a problem and a technology that's solving the problem, that's it. That's all we need. All we need. Okay, so let's dive into this read here. This read is coming from coingeek.com. Um, it was written on January 17th, 2023 by Wahid Pasarle. Pasarle. So anyway, Samsung Asset Management has expressed a desire to launch a pure play BTC exchange traded fund in Hong Kong, depending on the swings of the regulatory pendulum. According to Bloomberg report, the investment arm of the consumer electronics giant launched its features-based Samsung Bitcoin feature active ETF on January 13. The investment arm confirmed that it was scanning the regulatory horizon for the appropriate time to launch a spot-based ETF. So Samsung, as you can see, is diving into into digital currency, as you can see. And I think a lot of these bigger companies are doing the same thing, right? But they're not saying much. And I think part of that is what's going on with the need for regulation. So, right? So, CEO of investment behemoth Amimoka Brand stated that troubled digital asset firms in the United States are beginning to consider Hong Kong as new destination. Oh, guys, right? That's what I just said. That's what I just said. I am so accurate when it comes to this, and this is why I find such passion reading these articles. So, quote, places like Asia, particularly Hong Kong, are starting to look pretty attractive with their virtual asset policies, with their desire to basically be a leader in these space. Need I say more? Samsung doing big things when it comes to you know, digital currency. All right, so let's check out another article. We can delete that one. What's going on in the world of I'll tell you, this thing is coming into play real fast, and most people won't um, see it because they're not looking, right. And most of the top key players in this industry and category, when it comes to bank coins and blockchains, they're not saying much. They're letting you know that they're doing much work, and they're who they're co-mingling with, but they're not saying who they're really partnering with. But yet, when you look at their advances, the advances that they're making, it has to be with some significant partners, right? So, this article here is coming from ledgerinsights.com, and the author, I don't see an author, but it was written by the Ledger Insights, I guess, January 16, 2023. China's ECNY CBDC extend cross-border application, including AS, ASEAN, so ASEAN. So far this year, there have been several developments for China's central bank digital currency. The latest is an extension of cross-border activities using the digital yuan, specifically with the ASEAN. So the number of regions, including the domestic digital yuan pilots, continues to expand. On China's western border with Vietnam is one of the latest to be included. Apart from domestic scenarios, its CBDC pilot plan target ASEAN with a focus on trade. These areas specified include China ASEAN Corporation, China ASEAN Expo, the major trade show in the region, the Guangxi Pilot Free Trade Zone, which includes a port. So you see how China started their CBDC, right? They they were basically focusing on just one area, one city when they first start pilot phasing it, right? And this was going on from a long time before the pandemic. I think China was looking into CBDC. China has been talking about CBDC as they've been using not specifically CBDC, but they've been using this reference of this new currency, this new dollar, this new change, this new system for a long time. When it comes to for over 10 years now, when it comes to um, um, like political means, when it comes to warfare. Remember, I don't know if you guys remember the Iraqi war, and which led to the Syrian war, right? So that those were it was around that time that I personally, um, you read articles that China and Russia was talking about switching from the dominance of the dollar to a more inclusive currency. They did not give a title to what this currency was going to be about or what's going to be for, but what was going to be called. but they were definitely talking about a new currency. So let's dive into the digital yuan announcement. Uh, Gongzi is not the first formal cross-border initiative. Sorry, credit for that goes to Hong Kong, which has two entirely separate cross-border CBDC initiatives with China. Last week, Shenzhen, a key city in Guangdong, released regulations for creating a cross-border digital demonstration zone for the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau Greater Bay Area. This is part of the creation of an international wealth management center. Planning for cross-border CBDC work with Hong Kong started in 2020 and progressed in 2021. Okay, so that's the right. You see, they've been working on this for a while. They just started the pilot phase, and for a pilot phase to be started, it has to be made public, right? So separately, there is a wholesale CBDC platform, the M-Bridge project, being developed by the central banks of Hong Kong, China, Thailand, and UAE, sorry, as well as the BIS. Given that Thailand is a, see, BIS is all over this digital initiative, eh? And UAE. Given that Thailand is a ASEAN member, worker of CBDC with the ASEAN is not new. But the difference is the Guangxi pilots will use the retail CBDC. So other digital news in 2023, other digital one news, CBDC pilots have started to support offline CBDC payment as well as using mobile phones that are switched off. Some phone models can be configured between shutdown to specify the number of payments that are allowed while it's switched off. Additionally, last week the People's Bank of China announced that the digital yuan would be included in MO reporting going forward. I don't know what MO. Maybe I need to look that up. We can web search it. So right here is saying that according to investopedia.com, the monetary base, or MO, is the total amount of currency that is either in general circulation in the hands of the public or in the form of commercial banks deposits. That's what that is. So let's move on to the next article. I want to just bang these babies out in one shot. I've been saving this guy to do all of this all at once. So anyway, CBDCs set to disrupt dollar dominance. Isn't that the same thing? It's weird because I randomly category just randomly copy paste this into my feed, and um this is crazy. This is the same thing that Bank of America was just talking about, right? So this is coming from ASIAT AsiaTimes.com, and Arthur by Ross P. Buckley and Mia Trzynski. Trzynski. January 16, 2023 article was written. So CBDC is set to disrupt dollar dominance. Of course, it's going to disrupt the dollar dominance. It's going to, but it's not going to replace the dollar. It's just going to give it a more fuse form. It's like if you ever watch Dragon Ball Z, it's just going to make it even more morphed. It's going to morph it. It's going to give it more power, basically. So the central bank digital currency, like the ECNY could transform global finance with faster and cheaper ways to settle trade and transactions. For almost 80 years, the US dollar has dominated the global financial system. Its preeminence survived the collapse of the Bretton Woods system in the early 1970s and has even risen since the COVID 19 pandemic. The United States has long enjoyed the many benefits of flow from this privileged position, continuous capital inflows, lower foreign borrowing costs, and the power of sanction and power of sanction other nations. That right? All right. So let's pause there and remember what I said before about Russia and China 10 years ago. We're looking into another currency, right? Because the American government kept using the dollar as a weapon, as a political system to cut off nations. If a government is doing something, doesn't mean the people is involved. So why should my money be sanctioned when I didn't agree with my government actions? Right? So a lot of countries don't like that. So right? All right, so let's read that again so you know what I'm saying, right? So the United States has long enjoyed the many benefits that flow from this privileged position: continuous capital inflows, lower foreign borrowing costs, and the power of sanction other country other countries or nations. But with the development of new monetary technologies and the sanctions imposed on Russia's central bank in 2022, this could be set to change. Central bank digital currency have the potential to disrupt dollar dominance and transform the mechanics of the global financial system by providing faster and cheaper ways to settle international trade and financial transactions. CBDCs are a form of digital currency issued by the central bank, either for the use by the general public, that's what Stellar is doing, the general public, or by businesses, that's XRP, Ripple, XRP and Ripple, that's what they aim to do, to be that for the businesses, and the general public. Stellar is focusing on that, guys, which is what we've been talking about here, right? So wholesale CBDC will be used in substantial transactions and are designed to improve the efficiency of interbank trade and financial settlements. Retail CBDCs will make central bank backed digital money available to the general public. Customers will likely still be dealing with commercial banks, but with the terms and conditions set by the central bank rather than the commercial bank. While the customer experience may be largely unchanged, the infrastructure supporting it will be. And that's true. And that's what I okay, and that goes to my point when I said there's a lot of people, this is gonna go over a lot of people's head. They're just gonna see things happen and they're gonna be like, oh my god, I didn't even realize that the grocery store is all digital. Oh, it's self-checkout now. I'm talking to a computer. I didn't realize that I have to tap with I can tap. I didn't have to put my card in the machine and enter my code and what account I'm drawing the money from. Now I can tap. I didn't even realize that. Some people still not tapping. Some people are still not using that, not that, not tapping, man. Not using that technology. It's going right over their heads, right? And this is what I'm talking about. Let's read that this section of the article again, and so anyone that are listening right now can really stay focused on what I'm talking about right now. So retail CBDCs will make central bank back-end digital money available to the general public. Customers will likely still be dealing with commercial banks, but the terms and conditions set by the central bank rather than the commercial bank. Well, while customer experience may be largely unchanged, the infrastructure supporting it will be. So the largely unchanged part is what I'm referring to. Not much about how we do things is going to change. Certain things are going to change, of course, because of technology, right? And robotics. These are the things that are going to. I remember about 5 years ago in my last job, I was working in an auto manufacturing job, and we loved this job, and it was a love hate situation. And the general manager told us, listen, Gas is going out of business. Everything is moving towards electric, electrical technology. Everything technology. Focus on technology. Focus on electrical and robotics. And we already saw when it comes to fintech back in the days that we used to swipe our cards. The cards never used to have chips, you know. So I've seen this digital coming for a long time. It, I saw this coming for a long time. This digital thing. Remember, I saw Bitcoin when it was at $10, and because of my religious beliefs, I said to myself, "Nah, I'm not investing that. I'm not investing in that." Which I kind of regret because it's inevitable. If you believe in prophecy that is coming to pass, it's inevitable. If it comes to pass while we're still on earth, it's inevitable, right? It's inevitable that we're going to be included within that while we're still living because we're still alive. So why not invest? Why not invest? You can have good reasons in these investments. A lot of people are not going to invest in this because they're going to say that this is going to bring out the chip. This is a digital. This is what the Bible is talking about, 666. You know, the chip being in your forearm, the digital money. You can't see the money anymore, but you're spending it. They can turn off your money whenever they want to if you don't agree with their economy policies and societal protesting or whatever political reasons. They can turn off your money, and that's true. CBDC, they can turn your money off. It's the same thing with the banks too right now. Go commit a crime and the government is looking for you. Go be on a run, be a fugitive, or be on a run and see what they do. They turn off your money. So we're already there. One of the reasons why they couldn't just come out and introduce CBDC like that is because a lot of us will reject it because of the privacy infringement part of it, right? But they have to make sure it slowly roll and creep into society. He has to creep slowly into society, and only people that were gonna find it and sound the alarms are the developers and the guys who see the system, see how the economy was going. Such as me, I saw how the monetary system was going from a long time. I was like, these guys are trying to go digital. In 2018, I was like, in 2008, I was like, yo, these guys are trying to go digital, you know? And here we are. Here we are today. So in 2021, the Bank of International Settlements conducted a survey and found that 90% of central banks that responded are exploring CBDCs, with 54% considering to issue one in the next 6 years. China is leading the world in these efforts with its CBDC, the digital renminbi, ECNY, expected to be the first issued by the major economy. By a major economy. The ECNY has already been trailed in over 20 cities and used in over 100 billion worth RMB, worth $14 billion worth. So far since they launched it, giving China a massive first mover advantage. Wholesale CBDC, which have attracted far less attention than their retail counterparts, pose a real challenge to the US dollar dominance and have the potential to deliver massive gains in cross-border payments. The development of CBDCs has occurred alongside grown efforts by states to build alternatives to the dollar, largely pioneered by the BRICS, the RICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa coalition. The coalition was formed in 2009 and 2010 to increase their role in global governance. And guys, what reference do I refer to you when I say 10 years ago, Russia and China was talking about moving from the dollar and forming their own money, another money type of. They didn't give a name to this. They were just talking in language code. They didn't give names. They were just saying, and I'm like, huh. Makes sense. And they kept saying it, and which led me to watching Max Kaiser back in the day. And Max Kaiser was going on and talking about, for all you black people out there who follow Louis Farrakhan and you want to stop blaming the white man for reparation and 40 acre, you want your 40 acre? Invest in Bitcoin. Invest in Bitcoin. Invest in Bitcoin. This man was just talking like that, right? So I literally download the app and everything, ready to invest in Bitcoin. And I said, "Oh, at the time I was really into Bible studies, and I was like, oh my God, no, this is the chip. This is gonna bring out the chip system, and that's what stopped me from investing in Bitcoin. But after that, I'm like looking into all this technology. When the pandemic happened, forced me to look even more because I wasn't working. Because at that time I was working like 6 7 days a week. I didn't have much time to do. You know, the pandemic caused me to look more deeply, and I said to myself, you know what? These are technology. These are technology that sh- um show clearly the problem and offer a specific solution to that problem. So why not invest? And so far, here I am reading, gaining more knowledge, and sharing the knowledge. So CBDC are the most promising development for states looking to develop alternatives to the dollar, a quest that has been accelerated by unprecedented sanction imposed on Russia in 2022. In recognition of this risk, the United States has now expedited the development of the digital dollar, but it is still far behind China in this development. America is not worrying at all because they know that whether they start late or early, they're significant either way. Smaller economies are motivated to implement CBDCs to promise financial inclusion. The Bahamas and Cambodia have introduced their own CBDCs. These measures are aimed to improve financial inclusions for the unbanked and promote financial stability. They address gaps in investment in existing payment infrastructure. This is indistinguishable from wholesale CBDC in major economies that aim to improve trust in wholesale financial and international trade markets, improve efficiency, and implement fiscal and monetary policy. While CBDCs are potentially financially and technically transformative, they could also be geopolitically disruptive. A digital dollar could maintain or strengthen US dollar dominance even with alternatives developed by rival states because the digital dollar will be cheaper and easier to use than dollars today. And that's what I said. And obviously, that's common sense. Come on now. But the United States could also lose its dominant position in the global financial system as rival states develop CBDC based alternatives, fragmenting the global economy into two or more competitive blocks. And that's a strong possibility, of course. Remember, the petrodollar is holding people against their will. So with the digital currency, there's no held against no will. So it's basically a fair stage now. It's a fair field. Let's see which the best economy, who's gonna be the best economy, basically, and based off of what. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the way things should be. It shouldn't be centralized and it shouldn't be dictated. It should be open and decentralized. So there also could be a transition toward a multipolar system characterized by corporate rather than competition. Though this is the latest likely outcome in the current geopolitical political climate. I'm just saying, as soon as I make my comment, because this is my first time reading this article. So as soon as I make my comment, I'm reading the exact same thing in a different word that I just state. So each of these possibilities will pose opportunities and risk for Australia and the global financial system. But the second outcome, a global economy fragmented into two or more competing blocks, likely led by United States and China, would be very, very difficult for Australia. Given Australia's historic securities ties to the United States and its economic ties to China, Australia will likely attempt to engage with the CBDC networks of both blocks. That's what I'm saying. A lot of these countries are not stepping in because the fear of the unregulatory language in the United States. Balancing these relationships has become more difficult, but this could be further complicated if China led bloc imposes political or security requirements for membership. Given the importance of exports to the Chinese economy, China may be slow to mandate use of ECNY, but the United States has shown a willingness to use financial sanctions to address global conflicts, and China is playing a long and strategic game. No crap, and a lot of other countries are doing the same thing. Who knows if there's a sub brick, sub bricks? There could be a sub bricks. Other countries waiting in line to join the BRICS. Australian policymakers must begin preparing for these challenges. The Reserve Bank of Australia is already working to identify the uses for the digital Australian dollar. And as much as we're talking about digital money, guys, don't forget with digital money comes digital identification. And so why I say the chip that the book represent, the prophecy that most people talks about with the chip. And trust me, as much as they're talking about or reading about digital money coming in, they're starting to talk about the digital identification right now. And there's a video on the channel that talked about that. So while the issuance of CBDC is likely to significantly impact global financial system, in Australia will have very limited influence over the outcome of this disruption. Our policymakers need to think of approaches and strategies that will mitigate the risk and realize potential benefits. This was a good article. I actually enjoy reading this article, and I think I'm gonna read this article again because yeah, I think because this video is so long, I don't want it to go over the head of my audiences, right? So I want to read it again in another video. But yeah, guys, thank you for tuning in, and have a great day.